What's going on, guys? We're coming at you with a video today. We are reacting to a video that was made about us.
And you're probably reacting to the fact that I'm breastfeeding on camera.
Or this dumb hat that I'm wearing.
Dad hat. It looks really good on me, but I'm nervous. I've seen people, so Stephanie Buttermore a lot of people have been doing reaction videos to her. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, to be that person who has a reaction video about you.
Yeah. So we're reacting to a reaction video, which I think is just kind of dumb, but we'll do it. But it's just a lot of back and forth and like reacting to reactions. So it's by someone named Abbey Sharp, who is a dietitian, which if you think about it, people would pay like a couple $100 probably to have a dietitian review their diet. So that's cool.
Yeah.
We get it for free.
And we actually have like met her on Skype before because she did that Dr. Oz segment that we did with us. So she shared a recipe, we shared a recipe. I've seen a couple of her videos and she's generally really, really nice. So like the Stephanie Buttermore, she had a really positive reaction. I was like, oh, that's nice.
I think she's just more like middle of the road, like well-balanced diet type of person, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Abbey Sharp. And a couple of you guys DM'd us. That's how we found out about this.
I would have never known.
Is a keto pregnancy safe? Dietitian reviews Keto Connect. 15,000 views in 16 hours, so she's doing well. So she's got 700 thumbs up, 70 thumbs down. It's not the greatest ratio, but it's not bad either. Oh, it's 21 minutes. So we're going to probably skip around through some of this. Here we go.
What I've got in the kitchen. And today we're going to be reviewing Megha and Matt from Keto Connect. They are keto bloggers, YouTubers. They also have a podcast called Keto for Normies. And they recently updated a What I Eat in a Day video for what they eat post-birth, because Megha is a new mom, she's breastfeeding, and we're going to talk a little bit about pregnancy and breastfeeding with keto. So before we get into the video, I want to
very intense.
a little bit of
So
a
now I'm
background
more
on
nervous.
I feel like my
diet.
blood pressure racing a little bit.
Well, my diet during pregnancy was a lot better than I would say it is now.
Can we skip this?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to skip what is a keto
I like
diet?
how she said my name.
Yeah, she did a little
She
backstory
pronounced
research.
it. Well, she pronounced my name really well.
Megha.
More than my husband pronounces it.
It really improves your well-being, your health, and your life in general. Amazing. However, I do have some issues when it comes to doing the keto diet while pregnant or breastfeeding, which is what Megha practices herself. But before we get into the What I Eat in a Day that was shot post-pregnancy while breastfeeding, I want to talk about why it is contraindicated to be doing keto while with child.
Contraindicated. What does that even mean? So the opposite of indicated? Contraindicated. Suggest or indicate that
Should not be
used in the case in question. So basically you shouldn't be doing a keto diet.
Why you should.
First of all is potential nutritional deficiencies. So one major red flag when it comes to any diet during pregnancy is the concern over getting adequate nutrition to both mother and fetus, particularly with nutrients like folate. Now, folate is a B vitamin that is found predominantly in things like whole grains, and that's really imperative to preventing neural tube defects. Theoretically, this really should not be an issue on keto because folate is also present in a lot of keto-approved foods like leafy greens, asparagus, broccoli, and eggs. However, in a study with over 11,000 women, they found that those who were following a low-carb diet had less than half of the average folic acid intake as those who consumed carbs.
Okay, first point of contention seems to be folate, and folate is actually like, there's strong evidence you need it during pregnancy.
Yeah. Spina bifida.
Yeah.
Well, so are we addressing this generally or personally? Because I took a folate supplement every single day.
She also ate beef liver, which is high in folate, ate avocados, which are high in folate. Maybe if she's just saying like, hey, if you guys are doing a low carb diet during pregnancy, that's something you should be extra cognizant of.
Yeah, I think that's what she's trying to say.
Okay.
Diet had 30% higher chance of having an infant with neural tube defects. And this study defined low carb diet as 95 grams of carbs per day or less. I mean, most keto diets have people on 20 to 50 grams of carbs per day. So you can see where my concern lies. They also found that those who had planned pregnancies who also followed a low carb diet did not see that increased risk of neural tube defects. In other words, this could be a moot point as long as you're taking your prenatal supplement with at least 400 micrograms of folic acid, ideally before conception even begins, which I've talked about prior in other videos.
Do you have anything?
Well, I did that. I took...
and I think we mentioned that too. We don't mention it like every single day of eating, but we did mention that she's taking.
Yeah, and that's something like if I were going to make a pregnancy video, I would also make a big point about too, like she is. Like nutritional deficiencies are a big thing with pregnant women across the board, not just low carb dieters. And we've talked about that. And so I think my diet was way more sound and way better and more nutrient dense on my keto diet than
the average, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But she did not take a prenatal vitamin. She just took folate.
Well, because I was getting all the other nutrients through food where it's more bioavailable and better for my intake anyway.
Because prenatal vitamins are essentially just multivitamins with folate, with like extra folate. Some of them have DHA and stuff, but we get all that from diet. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Mega just took folate on its own.
Number 2, constipation. Now, constipation is a side effect that's very common in both the keto diet and in pregnancy in general, mainly because a lot of high fiber foods tend to be higher in carbs. So think things like whole grains and legumes and some fruits and some vegetables. While fiber is not considered a carb on keto, a lot of people who are following a low carb diet or keto diet do tend to feel constipated and not be getting enough fiber simply because they're avoiding a lot of those high.
Well, first off, what is enough fiber? You don't need fiber.
Yeah, but
she would obviously disagree with that. She's under the assumption that a high fiber diet is heart healthy and it's very good for you. I would say show me the studies that you're basing that off of, because in my opinion, fiber being health promoting, it's because it's better than what else people are eating. So if people are eating a lot of fiber, they're not eating McDonald's French fries. It's just a proxy for eating conventionally healthy foods like fruits and vegetables, because those are high in fiber, like you just said. Typically, people eating low fiber, that is just an indicator of a low quality diet. Like they're not eating healthy food. So I would say correlation does not equal causation, of course.
So constipation during pregnancy is common, I would say, among everyone. I took probiotics. That is what like helped with any constipation. I had no constipation just based on my probiotics, and I was low carb. So I wouldn't say that what she said is like a blanket statement for all women. Like if you're keto and pregnant, you're double whammy.
But she's saying it's worse because keto typically eliminates a lot of high fiber foods.
Right. But like that's just like not fair to apply across the board.
And she's a dietitian, guys. We are idiots on the internet. Remember that.
Well, we're reacting.
Yeah.
This is our reaction.
High fiber foods. If you're following a keto diet, make sure that the carbs that you do choose are higher in fiber, and also that you're getting in lots of those fiber-rich veggies. Not to
So I just don't agree with the idea that fiber is healthy.
Unnecessary.
Maybe that'll be a Let's Argue video.
We can dissect it a lot more.
Yeah.
mention, you definitely also want to be getting in lots of water and exercise. Number 3 is fetal development concerns. We do know that in general, infants' brains depend on glucose for energy. So we don't know if forcing them to convert to ketone energy will have any adverse effect. However, in one mouse study, they found that when mice were put on the keto diet and then got pregnant, they had a higher likelihood of having embryos with abnormal sized organs. So we saw enlarged hearts or smaller brains, all of which of course have health implications. While this is clearly a concern and obviously sounds really, really scary, I would say that we really just don't have any evidence to suggest that this would happen necessarily in humans. And because we don't have that research, we really cannot say for certain whether or not the keto diet is safe in pregnancy.
Or unsafe.
So she said a lot of nothing there, not being mean. But I mean, we have some data, like we have populations of people that lived without carbs for centuries.
Yeah, and the mice study, like when I hear studies about mice, I'm just like, I don't, you can't really apply that to human beings. Like it's so different.
It's a data point though, but yeah,
right,
like how
sure.
much weight you put in that data point.
I feel like he's not carb based right now, Theo, right? When you're breastfeeding?
Well, there's carbs in breast milk.
I know. But it's also a lot of fat.
I always want to test his ketones, but you can't poke a baby, right?
I don't know, can you? Comment below.
Finally, pregnancy is just not the time to be going on a weight loss diet.
Yeah, it's not a weight loss diet.
Right.
Everything isn't a weight loss diet. It's actually just trying to be optimally healthy, eating the best diet at all times.
And if we're talking about me, I didn't start keto when I got pregnant. I've been keto 4 years prior to getting pregnant. And I would say it helped with my fertility. It helped with my healthier keto diet. I had no inflammation. I would say across the board, it's way better than, a balanced whole grain diet.
I mean, that's the reason we're doing it. If we didn't think it was the best diet, we wouldn't be doing it, obviously.
But it's not, a weight loss diet. Like for many people it is. But I agree, like if you're going to get pregnant, don't do any weight loss diet. It doesn't,
You shouldn't be losing weight, you should be gaining weight.
Right.
Now, I'm not suggesting necessarily that this is Megha's goal here. I know she was kind of on a keto diet before she was even pregnant. However, I just want to flag this as a general kind of piece of information to take into consideration when you're thinking about going keto while you're pregnant. So generally, as we know, pregnancy is a time where we're actually encouraged to gain weight. Remember, you are trying to grow another human at the same time as you're trying to nourish your own body. If you're losing weight while pregnant, you're definitely running the risk of not providing enough nutrition to both you and babe. Of course, always speak to your healthcare provider first. However, it's my professional and personal opinion that if you are thinking about doing keto to lose weight and you're pregnant, now is just not the time. Now is ultimately not the time to be making any kind of drastic changes to your diet or exercise regime.
So I don't know that any of these have been like isolated to a keto diet. It's more just like general health advice.
Yeah.
I think there was maybe one that was specific to keto, but yeah, a lot of these are just like general guidelines for pregnancy.
Okay, so let's take a look at where Mega is today with her breastfeeding and keto journey.
I had a bulletproof decaf coffee with a tablespoon of coconut oil, a scoop of MCT oil powder, and a scoop of collagen in this cool Yeti mug I got from Matt. Yeti's so overpriced.
Because there's knockoff ones that are like 1/3 the price that are the exact same.
So right off the bat, Mega is having some decaf coffee, which is great. However, I want to just flag that you don't need to necessarily be avoiding caffeine if you're nursing or pregnant. Thank God. The recommendation is to just limit yourself during pregnancy.
Yeah, the recommendation is 200 milligrams per day. I think 300 is fine, but like, I guess it's a personal choice. And you don't have to be caffeine free, but think about what caffeine does to us. And you need that for a developing fetus when it's in the womb and it's trying to grow and thrive.
Yeah, I guess I just fail to understand why the recommendations are such a gold standard to her still when the recommendations have failed us for like the past 50 years. So just because it's the recommendations doesn't mean that that is a good basis to go off of.
And like, not to knock her at all. I think it was cute when she was like, thank God. But like, that's most people's reasoning for like splurging on donuts when you're pregnant and eating like nonsense foods that aren't providing nutrients because it's like, well, I'm pregnant and like, I need to be energized. I need
Yes,
to be,
queen.
Yeah. And so it's like, not thank God. Like, think about put your child first. Your health is on the back burner when your child is in the picture.
I mean, there's something to be said for indulging once in a while. You're pregnant.
Yeah.
It's fine, right? You
I
don't have
did
to be
that.
100% optimal. Our decision, for a reason, was to not have caffeine during pregnancy.
But again, yeah, you can go by the recommendation and that you can have like 200 to 300, I think, milligrams a day. 300
milligrams of caffeine per day, which works out to be about 2 to 3 cups of coffee, depending on the brand. So when it comes to the supplements, I find some of these are kind of overkill. So MCT powder is a medium chain triglyceride powder that's absorbed differently and more easily than longer chain fatty acids that are found in a lot of different foods. That combined with the coconut oil, which is pretty much being praised because of its medium chain triglycerides, seems kind of redundant to me. I kind of just think like one source of fat per cup of coffee would probably be okay.
So no.
It's probably okay. She is right. Like, you don't need multiple things.
But I don't think coconut oil is just praised because of the MCTs.
It is somewhat praised because of the MCTs, but it's a completely different type than what's in the MCT oil. It's like lauric acid, I believe, is in coconut oil, which is B12.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really metabolize into ketones the same way that C8 and C10, like the actual, when you buy MCT oil, they're slightly different. So I don't agree. They're not redundant.
But then the MCT powder and the collagen are flavored, and that was purely because it's delicious. It was not like supplement based at all.
Yeah, it's like everything we eat isn't tactical, like trying to hit the nutrients for...
Unless it's liver, then that's tactical.
Certain things are.
Yeah. Collagen powder is derived from the most abundant source of protein in the body. So it doesn't really provide any fat. However, it does provide a little bit of protein in there. And there's a lot of debate over the merits of collagen powder. However,
yeah, I think the debate is merited. But also collagen powder has glycine, which you need during pregnancy.
Yeah.
In extra high amounts, like it's conditionally essential during pregnancy. So that's one thing maybe that was somewhat tactical.
Some research does suggest that it may have some benefits when it comes to joint health and skin health. Okay, so let's take a look at what Mega is having for breakfast.
It holds anything together. It's like 8 calories, 0 carbs. It's basically just good for filling. Doesn't really taste like much either. I love making breakfast tacos, so this is perfect for that. I think for 12 of them it was like $5 or $6. So yeah, this is 6 eggs. I cooked it in the bacon fat, and then it's 3 slices of bacon, and I also did some turkey. It was like lunch meat style turkey. Yeah. Basically just plate these up. I also took my cod liver oil and vitamin D. I take those most days. So then for me, this is key right here. Green salsa. I'm all about the green salsa. It's a little spicy. Red salsa is for suckers. This isn't really salsa though. I guess this is Tabasco. Green pepper sauce. It's more mild than normal Tabasco. I like it though. And just a little bacon and turkey on there.
You gonna shove in my shirt?
Eat local?
Yeah.
You're one of those people now?
No.
What is it?
Eat local breast milk.
So first of all, $6 for like 12 little egg wraps that apparently don't taste like anything seems excessive. But let's talk about the meal itself.
It is a little excessive, but it's one of the better options for holding things together.
You know where we saved our money though? Fancy studio, Abby. That's what you spend your money on.
We spend it on egg wraps.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of protein going on here. Most people can only digest about 20 to 30 grams of protein per sitting or per meal.
Okay,
Isn't
that's
that
not
like
true at all.
Yeah, isn't that like a bodybuilder?
Yeah.
Type of
It's like the
argument?
whole rationale behind the 6 meal a day bodybuilding type of thing. I don't have like studies off the top of my head to like debunk this right now, but maybe I'll link some in the description. But it's also not a lot of protein. Like an egg is what, 6 or 7 grams? Yeah, the bacon is not super high in protein, so it's not a lot of protein.
And then there wasn't a ton of deli meat. Yeah, that was a low protein, lower.
I think my meal was probably close to like 60 grams of protein.
Mine was probably like 20 to 30.
And this has about twice that. So I do question how well it's being digested. I would also
So is the assumption that we then need to have the 6 meals a day? Is that what she's advocating for?
So I need to have less protein in my next meal or something? I don't know.
love to see a little bit less sodium. There's a lot of processed meat going in there. And also would love to see some vegetables. I mean, would it kill someone to just throw a little vegetable in there?
Well, there's cauliflower in the wraps that you were complaining about. And there's some veggies in the green salsa. But yeah, the sodium. So I don't know, how much sodium would I say is in that? Maybe a gram each. So yeah, if you are, like, she's just coming really from a conventional wisdom mindset. Like if you dropped her in 1992 and said, give nutrition advice, she'd be like, oh, you fit right in. So in my opinion, you don't want to limit sodium to the degree that is recommended, but I'm not a dietitian. So I think the recommendations are like 1400 milligrams. I think that's super low. Also, it's really low because our potassium intake is really low these days. So there's a little bit of like a seesaw going on with those two. So if you're getting adequate potassium, you can probably have more sodium. And there's actually, like, we went to Metabolic Health Summit, Low Carb, Breckenridge. There's people that talk about this. There's actually like a U-curve. When you get to 1400 milligrams a day, the recommendation by the USDA, FDA, whatever it is, you're actually more likely to have high blood pressure. When you get more towards like the 3 to 5 gram range, that is where your blood pressure is in the reference range, like a normal amount. And then when you go past that, it's a U-curve. So then it goes back up to really high amounts. I don't know what evidence she's using to support her sodium thing, but I would say based on what I've seen, like between 2 and 6 grams daily is probably better.
Salsa, some guacamole, some bell peppers. I mean, I would take an onion at this point. Remember we talked about constipation? This is how that happens. Just throw a veg in there. All right, let's move on to lunch.
They're going to have both of them. I just convinced her. Here's your kebabs.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Beautiful.
I think she's going to like this meal because it's like pretty low in fat for meals that we would typically have.
And it's veggies.
And lots of veggies, which she
might not
a
like
lot.
the grilling though or something. We'll see. You got the chicken, peppers, the squash, the mushrooms, which are gross. Oh, look at that big garlic.
That looks awesome. I love this meal because we've got some protein. We've got a variety of colorful vegetables. That roasted garlic looks amazing. So I approve. All right, let's look at dinner.
It's a pretty big one. I think it's like 12 ounces.
Mine is the same.
And then Brussels sprouts. And this is a recipe from our food blog. I'll link it below. It's Brussels sprouts, but I didn't do bacon. I did ghee and garlic and onion.
Shallot or onion?
shallot.
That's a lot of meat. That is a good, healthy portion of meat.
I think it was.
Just like the zoom in of me.
I think it was 12 ounces each.
Yeah, that's a 12-ounce steak.
And like I said earlier, when it came to the breakfast, I just feel like this is a lot of protein to be digesting in one meal. So like I said, most people are only digesting like 20 to 30 grams of protein per sitting. This is easily 3 times that, along with quite a lot of fat as well, which I get is the keto diet and that's the purpose. But it seems like it would be really heavy in the gut. Okay, so we've seen their meals. Let's take a look at what baby's eating.
I'm the same way. Whenever babies come over, it's just like, go get the fruit snacks. They're in the drawer. They're in the cabinet.
It's just like fast food galore for my dad. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing.
It's just cheap. It's simple. I want instant gratification that the baby likes me. Eat this and be happy.
Okay, so like we talked about with keto and pregnancy, there really isn't a whole lot of research when it comes to lactation and the keto diet. However, the medical community does have some concerns. Number 1 is ketoacidosis exacerbated by lactation. A number of published case studies have found healthy young women who are following the keto diet being admitted to the hospital with severe ketoacidosis. In other words, their ketone levels got so high that their blood pH became out of the normal range.
I don't know about that.
I thought that only applied to
type 1 diabetics. That's my understanding of ketoacidosis, but she said healthy women?
Yeah.
But Mega's ketones have been kind of high. They've been like 3.0 or so pretty routinely. But she tests them all the time. I don't know if ketoacidosis is a thing for healthy women. I think it's just type 1 diabetics, but she's saying contrary. I haven't heard this.
I haven't seen the study either. She mentioned a study.
Yeah, I wonder if she links things. No, but I'll look into that. Maybe I'll have an addendum at the end or something. I found the study she's referencing. It's not really a study, it's a case study. So it's like one specific incident of this happening. This is a new term for me. So lactation ketoacidosis, it is actually like a word that exists. I would say this is kind of misleading to present this as like a common concern for women that are nursing while doing a keto diet. Here's the conclusion of this. In the previously reported case of lactation ketoacidosis, there were specific events cited as precipitating the ketoacidosis. These events were UTI, twin lactation, so she had twins at the time, a self-imposed high-protein carbohydrate-free diet, a high-protein zero-carb diet. That's not a healthy diet, of course, right?
And she had a UTI. That's already like inflammation, right? Bacterial infection.
Yeah, and self-imposed fasting. To say that this one isolated incident is a concern that should be spread to all women doing a keto diet nursing, to me, it's just not an accurate representation of the facts. I mean, yeah, it happened one time. So, and then also, while we're here, the 30 grams of protein thing, it's not digested. And this is like a widely debunked myth.
She said synthesized.
Yeah, so 30 grams per meal. I think it's every 3 hours. 30 grams can be used for muscle protein synthesis, but that's not the only role of protein in your body. So you need more than the 30 grams of protein that are being actively used to repair muscle. Your body needs more protein than that. I guess I would love to hear her interpretation of what happens to the excess protein over the 20 to 30 grams. It's serving other functions in your body. Back to the video.
Which of course is very life-threatening. While most non-lactating women can safely be in ketosis, there's a higher risk of ketoacidosis in lactating women because they require more energy from fat to produce breast milk. So they're already burning fat, and by default, more ketones are produced, which creates an acidic environment, and as a result, ketoacidosis. So next, let's talk about the impact of the keto diet on breast milk composition and the nutrition for the baby. So in one study, they looked at mice who were put on a ketogenic diet while lactating to see if the breast milk nutrition affected the nutrition of the baby. The lactating mice who were on the keto diet experienced severe physiological stress and ketoacidosis. And in fact, all of the keto diet lactating mice died, and their offspring were considered small for size.
Right.
Lord have mercy.
So she was saying nutritional deficiencies, but then she didn't really go into that. She went into ketoacidosis.
Well, she's saying the nutrient makeup of the breast milk. So my breast milk would in turn put Theo into ketoacidosis and kill him. Knock on wood. Jesus.
I would like to, I'd like to look at the references.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Feeding mamas, do not freak out. This is not meant to scare you or mom shame you. I mean, we all have a mother-in-law for that. This is just meant to share some really preliminary information. And basically, this is all we have. This is still just based on mice research, so we definitely cannot extrapolate this to humans yet.
I agree.
I'm wondering her perspective, because she is deep into the mice research. What is her perspective on something like these ancestral peoples that had essentially zero carb diets for centuries?
But also just as simple as like, it is very preliminary. She can't extrapolate to humans. So why is she sharing it as if it's like sound and should be applied? You know, she's making it a point.
Yeah. So I also guess, like, as opposed to what? So, like, is she saying the standard American diet, like, that's more of a safer option? Or, like what are we comparing it to, I guess?
Research we have to date suggests that we should really be cautious when considering any diet while breastfeeding, including the keto diet.
Well, you have to eat food, right?
A diet isn't like...
She's using diet just in, like, the colloquial sense of trying to lose weight really fast.
Yeah.
However, without any strong evidence either way, I think the best thing that we can do if you are considering a keto diet while breastfeeding is to work closely with your doctor and a registered dietitian to make sure you're doing it in the safest way possible. This means
because people would say she's on a diet, and I bet you I don't know if she has kids or anything, but if she got pregnant, she would be on what most Americans consider a diet, because she like eats quote unquote healthy foods like oatmeal and things like that.
Yeah, I actually watched, when I was pregnant, I watched her pregnancy video and her,
she was
her
pregnant?
diet. Yeah.
Oh.
And I don't remember much, but she was definitely drinking caffeine, and she was really excited to get back to like wine and deli meats and cheese. She did a big thing on cheese. So she would be really mad if I was eating raw cheese.
Include measuring your ketones more regularly or monitoring any abnormal symptoms like nausea and vomiting a little bit more closely. But it's really not recommended to be following the keto diet while breastfeeding or pregnant without any medical supervision. Okay, let's get back to the food.
Are you gonna have more snacks?
Little
Let's
baby
finish my
feet.
dinner. So I ordered these. They're the good to go bars. 160 calories, 13 fat, 6 protein, 15 total carbs, of which 7 are fiber and 5 are erythritol, 3 net carbs total.
I don't really like it that much. I tried one.
So the flavor isn't too intense. It's vanilla almond, but the texture is nothing like any other bar. And so I'm always like craving different textures, and so it's nice to have the options. It's very like a dense muffin, right?
Okay, so a lot of these low carb bars contain some kind of sugar, alcohol, or artificial sweetener to add sweetness. So in this case, she is talking about this one having erythritol, which is a sugar alcohol. And for some people, some more than others, sugar alcohols in excess can cause a lot of bloating, gas, discomfort, etc. If you can get away with that without discomfort, along with the 7 grams of fiber, I mean, you do you, but I feel like I would be kind of drowning in my own stench.
I mean, it's a few grams. Like, everyone pretty much can.
Well, she also should understand that I've been on a keto diet for so long that I'm used to the erythritol.
Yeah, that too. And also now the 7 grams of fiber is like kind of a bad thing for bloating, but earlier it was like the best thing ever. What about having a high vegetable diet though? It's like world renowned for the gas.
For the farting, yeah.
So like the more vegetables you have, generally the more gas you're gonna have.
Let's take a look at the macros. So Mega is consuming about 2,600 calories. 5% of that is coming from carbs, 64% from fat, and about 31% from protein. Okay, so first let's talk about what I'm liking here. Number one is that there was quite a lot of veggies going on, with the exception, I think, of the morning meal, which, yes, could use some veggie love. I liked that both the lunch and the dinner had lots of colorful veggies. Number two, there was some good variety. So despite the fact that they, of course, were restricting carbs, I liked that I saw a nice variety in both the proteins and the vegetables that were represented throughout the day. And number three, she's consuming enough calories to meet her caloric needs. Now, I know a lot.
Okay, so I guess just based on the takeaways, if she saw a lot of our days of eating, she would like them even less.
She picked a good one.
Yeah, she picked a good one. I don't think you need colorful veggies every day flown in from across the world. That isn't part of a sound human diet to me. I understand the frame of reference she's coming from, though.
But again, we're personal opinion. Sure, hers is personal and professional.
That's true. I guess I didn't factor that in. So yeah, she's giving more of like the textbook
guidance that you could follow.
Yeah. Like if you follow her guidance, I would say, you're going to be much
doing
healthier
better.
than a standard American. Do I think what she's recommending is a good diet? No, not really. Like oatmeal for breakfast, not a good diet.
If that's what she's eating.
A lot of you guys are probably thinking that seems like a lot of calories, especially in comparison to some of the YouTubers that I've reviewed here previously. However, it's important to keep in mind that women burn about 20 calories per ounce of breast milk produced. Put that in perspective, when I was exclusively breastfeeding my son, I was pumping about 47 ounces of milk a day, which created a caloric deficit of about 940 calories. So yeah, don't get between a breastfeeding mama and her food. Now for Mega, she is an active young woman, so she probably needs somewhere between 2,000 and 2,400 calories baseline. Add on.
She eats you eat 1,500.
No,
baseline, right?
1,500 is my baseline. But like, people don't know that my lean body mass is very, very low, like abnormally low.
1,000 calories for breastfeeding. And yeah, her caloric intake makes total sense. She is a woman who is fueling her body with enough calories to both support herself and her breastfeeding infant. And sadly, in this day and age, that deserves an applause. Now let's talk about what I don't love. Number one, there's a lot of costly, expensive, keto-specific products. Now,
Yeah, you don't need any of those.
No, we say that all the time.
But yeah, there is like protein bars. I guess in that video, is probably just like the MCT oil and then the after dinner snacks protein bars, right?
Yeah, so not that many in that video, actually.
I watched a lot of their videos, so this one wasn't actually too bad when it comes to the convenience food items. And let's be real, I mean, they just gave birth. I cannot even believe that they're cooking anything from scratch because that was not me. But I would say that the way they're doing the keto diet is very costly. I mean, meat alone, beef alone is very expensive.
Yeah, would you guys like to see a day of eating where we actually break down a cost of a day?
But you make this argument all the time. Like, the veggies spoil quicker. The calories are very low for a costly food, right?
Yeah.
If you compare it calorie to calorie.
It depends what you're comparing to. A lot of times, I would say our day of eating is like about an average American because people spend more money than they think on food. If you eat out like one time for lunch, that's
Or
like
you get
10
Starbucks.
to 12 bucks. Yeah. So like average daily food spending for me as one person is probably like $20. Isn't a crazy high amount.
And that's like our luxury too, personally speaking. Like, we don't spend on clothes and stuff. Like, we choose to.
I'm wearing a Keto Bars dad hat right now.
I'm wearing a free Keto Crisp shirt, a free Deeper State Keto shirt.
Comment below, what do you think is an appropriate amount of money to spend on one day of food for one person?
Not to mention all of the supplements, the MCT oil and the collagen and those like egg wrap thingies and the bars. When I watch their videos, I just can't help but hear, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. And I just know that these things cost a lot of money. However, I want you to know that it does not necessarily have to be that way. Also, the rain just got like super loud. It's like a tropical rainstorm out there. So just bear with us, folks. Number two was that they were definitely looking a little low on the fiber. So constipation, I already talked about, very common in the keto diet, as well as in pregnancy and postpartum. And so with those vegetables and the good to go bar, we're looking at just around like 17 grams of fiber for the whole day. And most women need between 25 and 30 grams of fiber to promote good gut health and regularity. And first fuel bowel movements post-birth are traumatizing. So if you are feeling a little bit like your bathroom visit,
You didn't?
No, I was actually really, really surprised because I've heard the horror stories like she's sharing right now. And my first bowel movement came out beautifully. No pushing, it just like kind of comes out of you. Too much information, I know, but I had no issues. So I think it's person dependent. Don't apply what anyone says across the board.
It might be all her fiber.
That's true.
Visit is childbirth 2.0. Do yourself a favor, up the fiber, eat some more of those low carb vegetables, choose the carbs very wisely so that of course you're focusing on higher fiber sources, or of course take a supplement. Now I also just recently saw that they uploaded a video about why salad is bad. I'm gonna need a whole video to unpack that one for you, but I will just say salad is not bad. If you love salad, if you love vegetables, keep eating salad and vegetables. And number three, I've got some concerns about future health and nutrition. Generally, I'm not really that concerned about Mega's diet. I actually think she represents the keto diet in a pretty well-balanced way. However, I really, really hope that they're not going to be putting their baby on a keto diet once they start solids. So a breastfeeding infant is getting about 40% of their calories from carbs in breast milk. So their baby is getting a good source of carbohydrates right now. However, when baby starts solids around 6 months of age, that baby's gonna need about 95 grams of carbs per day to meet their caloric needs. I actually don't know what Mega's...
Whoa, where'd you come up with that number?
I have no idea.
To meet their caloric needs? Are you just extrapolating on the 40% in breast milk and saying...
Yeah, I have to imagine.
Yeah, I don't know that that's founded in actual, like any kind of science or information. She's just saying if you want to keep the same macros as breast milk, maybe.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need 95 grams of carbs to... We'll make a video about what he's going to eat though.
Yeah,
We'll
say that we're not going to do a keto diet off the bat.
Mega's long-term plan is when it comes to feeding her family. If this is something that she's discussed in detail, please let me know. However, what I really just want to do is flag for the rest of you guys who are watching at home that the keto diet, unless it's medically supervised for a very specific reason, like epilepsy, is really not an appropriate diet for a child. Hard stop. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I am going to be following it up with another video in a couple weeks where I'm going to be debunking all of the claims that Mega and Matt made when it comes to the idea that salad is bad. So,
oh boy,
well,
here it comes.
She'll go into the ancestral thing at least because you make that a big point.
Yeah.
So at least we'll get her take on that, which is interesting. But I did enjoy that video. Thank you, Abby.
Yeah, check out Abby's YouTube channel. She does a bunch of videos like this. She reviews...
But very different from us, obviously.
Yeah. She's funnier.
She's funnier. The production quality is sky high. Ours is run-of-the-mill.
Yeah.
So, that was great.
What are her most valid points, do you guys think? Comment below. What do you think is a good point she made? I just would wish she posted the study she references. I know it's kind of hard sometimes because you're just like spitballing and then you got to go back and find all the studies to post them in the description, but
yeah,
would be good.
Okay. Anyway,
that's it, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Hopefully my breastfeeding didn't offend you. I feel like some people probably couldn't even watch.
It's what we got to do to make videos, guys. Got to keep food on the table.
And
got to keep buying the $5 cauliflower wraps.